You did everything right. You worked hard. You stayed disciplined. You followed the rules exactly as they were handed to you. So why does it still feel like you're falling behind? Why does it feel like you're running endlessly, burning time, burning energy, yet never actually moving forward? You listened to advice. You trusted the system. You believed patience would be rewarded. And yet, every year, the gap grows wider, not smaller, wider. You feel more tired, more disillusioned, more quietly angry. Then you notice something unsettling. People who don't seem smarter than you, people who don't work longer hours, people who openly bend rules you were told to respect, and somehow they're moving ahead, faster than logic allows. Niccolo Machiavelli warned about this centuries ago. He said the world does not reward virtue, it rewards power, perception, and control. You were taught morality, they were taught strategy. You were trained to obey visible rules, they learned the hidden architecture behind them. Machiavelli understood what most people refuse to accept. Systems are not built to be fair, they are built to be stable for those already on top. Those who rise do not ask for permission, they do not wait for fairness, they do not confuse intention with outcome. As Thomas Hobbes observed, order is maintained not by goodness, but by leverage and fear of loss. And as Sun Tzu revealed, the most decisive battles are won before the opponent realizes a game is being played. You were losing because you lacked effort. You were losing because you were predictable. You believed the rules protected you. In reality, the rules were mapping you. This is not motivation. This is not comfort. This is exposure. And once you see the game as Machiavelli saw it, not as it should be, but as it actually is, you stop being a participant. You become a variable the system must account for. That is where real power begins.
The first reality you must accept is uncomfortable. The world does not run on fairness. It runs on structure. Fairness is a story told to keep people calm. Structure is what decides outcomes. Nature never negotiates. It selects. A river does not apologize for drowning the weak swimmer. Fire does not slow down because someone is cold. The system behaves the same way. It does not ask who deserves more. It asks who is positioned better. Most people lose because they keep arguing with the rules instead of learning them. They moralize. They complain. They wait. The system continues. People say, "I'm honest. I'm ethical. I'm a good person." Those are character traits, not survival tools. Morality does not create leverage. Structure does. This is why good people are often exploited, not because goodness is wrong, but because goodness without power is naked. Nietzsche warned about this. He saw how weakness hides inside moral language. The system does not punish you for being moral. It ignores you for being irrelevant. Relevance is earned through function, not virtue. If you cannot protect yourself, your values will not be respected.
Most people imagine power as aggression, loud voices, dominance displays. That is low-level power. Real power is quiet, like gravity. You do not see it, but everything bends to it. The person with control over resources does not need to argue. They wait. Time works for them. Pressure works for them. Others move around them like pieces on a board, often without realizing why. This is why emotional people lose. Emotion leaks information. Information creates access. Access creates exploitation. The calm person always has the advantage. Poverty is not low income. It is high dependence. A man earning a lot but depending on one source is fragile. A man earning less but controlling multiple streams is stable. Think of a stool. One leg breaks, you fall. 4 legs, you stay upright. Most people balance their entire life on a single leg and call it security. That is not security. That is hope. Hope is not a strategy. Seneca warned about this. He said dependence is a form of slavery. Freedom begins when your survival does not depend on pleasing one authority. The system does not care what you earn, it cares what you keep. Income is noise, margin is signal. 2 people earn the same amount. One spends most of it, one keeps a gap. The gap becomes insulation. Insulation becomes choice. Choice becomes power. The loud one becomes louder. The quiet one becomes quieter. The loud one looks successful. The quiet one becomes dangerous. Like a hunter waiting in tall grass, not chasing every movement. The system always favors the patient. Comfort feels safe. That is why it is addictive. The system uses comfort to slow people down. Soft lives create soft reactions. The moment discomfort appears, the untrained panic, the trained observe. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this. Comfort weakens the soul's edge. People trade long-term leverage for short-term relief. They upgrade lifestyles instead of upgrading position. A bigger house does not protect you. A bigger buffer does. Labor is linear. Systems are exponential. Your body has limits. Machines do not. People who rely only on effort will eventually hit a ceiling. People who build systems turn ceilings into floors. A ladder is climbed rung by rung. A machine lifts automatically. Most people insist on climbing because it feels noble. The strategist builds the elevator. Leverage is effort that repeats. A river with no channel spreads thin and weak. A river with walls cuts through mountains. Leverage is channeling. Money is one channel. People are another. Information is another. Sun Tzu understood this. He never fought directly if positioning could win first. Direct effort is expensive. Indirect advantage is efficient. The system rewards efficiency. Talent is useless in a dying environment. A mediocre player in a growing system outpaces a genius in a shrinking one. This is why timing matters. A pendulum swings. Miss the arc, you strain. Catch the arc, you glide. Most people arrive late and call the system unfair. They were not wronged. They were mispositioned. Strategists study currents, not opinions. Visibility attracts attention. Attention attracts pressure. Pressure attracts attack. Those who flash wealth invite inspection. Those who hide structure remain untouched. Lao Tzu taught this: what is soft survives, what is rigid breaks.
True power wears plain clothes. Give someone money and watch. Some relax, some inflate, some resent, some align. Money removes masks. It accelerates behavior that was already there. This is why the system favors those who observe before trusting. Jung would call this shadow exposure. The wise use incentives to read people.
This is critical. The system is not evil. It is indifferent. Indifference feels cruel to those expecting care, but indifference is predictable. Predictability is exploitable. Once you stop personalizing outcomes, clarity returns. You stop asking why, you start asking how. Here is the paradox. It is not entirely your fault, but it is entirely your responsibility. The system was not designed for fairness. It was designed for function. Once you see that, victimhood loses value. Responsibility restores agency. Like a chessboard revealed after confusion, you can now move. There are no moral victories in systems, only structural ones. No ethics, no mercy, only alignment. Storms do not care who prays, they test roofs. Clocks do not slow for effort, they measure time. Games do not reward intention, they reward mastery. Once you accept this, you stop feeling betrayed by life. You stop being shocked. You become calm. And calm is where power begins.
You have now seen the rules most people never look at. Not opinions, not motivation, structure. Nothing in this system moves because it is fair. Everything moves because it is positioned. When you understand this, confusion ends, anger fades, complaining stops. You stop asking why life feels heavy. You start seeing where weight is placed. Most people will hear this and return to old habits. They will moralize again. They will seek comfort again. They will confuse effort with leverage again. The system will not punish them. It will simply continue without them. But if you apply what you now understand, something changes quietly. You move differently. You choose differently. You stop exposing yourself to forces you cannot control. You build buffers instead of excuses. You build systems instead of stories. You build position instead of hope. Power does not announce itself when it arrives. It shows up as calm, as patience, as the ability to wait while others rush. This is why the strongest people often look ordinary. They do not need to prove anything. The structure already works for them. Remember this. The system is not cruel. It is consistent. Once you stop arguing with it, you stop losing energy to it. And when energy stops leaking, leverage begins forming. Quietly, predictably, inevitably. In the next breakdown, we go further, not into motivation, into mechanisms, the ones that decide who rises, who stalls, and who never understands why they were left behind. Until then, observe carefully, build patiently, and never confuse fairness with power.